Okay, guys, let's dive into a little bit of science. Okay, so as we dive into the underlying mechanisms governing or controlling our stress responses, this module will help you understand how stress affects our bodies and minds by exploring the stress hormones, the fight or flight response, which I'm sure you've heard of before, and the different types of stresses. So, let's talk about these stress hormones. It's cortisol and adrenaline. So let's move on. So cortisol and adrenaline, they play a key role in our body's response to stress. Understanding what these hormones are and their functions can help us better understand how our bodies react to stress and how we can manage stress more effectively. Now the HPA, which we've spoke about before, is a complex network of hormonal interactions that play a crucial role in our body's response to stress. It involves three main components, which is the hypothalamus, the pituitary gland, and the adrenal glands. Now, when you encounter a stressful situation, wait for this to catch up with me, I'm getting ahead of myself. Yep, when you we go. So when there is a stressful situation, the HPA axis is activated, then the hypothalamus, a brain region responsible for regulating various bodily functions, senses this stressor and releases which is called CRH. Now, CRH stimulates the pituitary gland to secrete adrenocorticotropic, hope I've pronounced that right, hormone, or ACTH for short, in your bloodstream. And this ACTH travels to the adrenal glands, and this is really testing my biology here. And yeah, it travels to the adrenal glands, then above the kidneys. This then stimulates them to produce and release cortisol, the primary stress hormone. Although people often perceive cortisol as a bad hormone, it's not necessarily true. Under normal circumstances, cortisol levels go up and down throughout your day. So your cortisol is higher in the morning to help you wake up, and lower in the evening to help good sleep. Now, cortisol production increases when we're under stress. Okay, I want you to write that down, just understand that. And this helps us cope with it. So in the short term, obviously cortisol helps enhance the immune response by increasing the production of pro-inflammatory cytokines, and these are mobilizing immune cells. This can help deal with immediate threat such as infection or injury. Also, cortisol helps release glucose in the bloodstream, giving the body energy to respond to stress. It also helps maintain proper blood pressure by constricting the blood vessels and increasing the heart rate. That being said, when cortisol levels remain high for long periods of time due to chronic stress, it can then start to do the opposite and suppress the immune system. So high cortisol levels can start to inhibit the production of lymphocytes. And lymphocytes, they play a crucial role in the immune response against infections. So it has quite a big impact on our immune system. It can also lead to reduced inflammation responses. Sorry, can't speak right today. And this impairs our body's ability to fight off pathogens effectively. So the fight or flight response, this is a physiological reaction that occurs when we perceive a threat or experience stress, which prepares us to confront or escape the danger. Now, we have the amygdala, which is This initiates the fight or flight response, which is a region in the brain that processes emotions, particularly fear. And when this perceives a threat, it then sends a signal to the hypothalamus, which then acts as a body command centre. So the hypothalamus activates an this might be a lot of terminology here, so bear with me. I'll maybe take a screenshot of this. So yeah, so as I was saying there, when the hypothalamus, this then activates the nervous system, and this stimulates the adrenal glands. This then releases the stress hormones like adrenaline and cortisol. The release of stress hormones during this fight or flight response triggers a series of physiological changes, and the body is designed to enhance our ability to handle perceived threat. So our heart rate starts to then increase, our digestion stops, blood is redistributed to the muscles and vital organs. Basically, all the blood gets pulled into the middle. All the blood gets pulled into the middle, and in the middle of our body, to our vital organs, and the body then releases energy to reserve, to provide quick fuel, just to get away from danger. I don't know if you've ever been running away from something, you ever noticed, wow, I actually ran really fast there. That's the reason for that. And yeah, this response is one of the things that's kept us around as a as a species, but can now cause us problems if we're living with a constant stage of stress. Adrenaline is not quite regulated by the HPA axis, but is released as part of the fight or flight response, which coincides with the HPA axis activation. So while these hormones are essential in helping us respond to stress, having them at a high level for an extended period of time can negatively impact our health. So what ways can it impact our health? So while these hormones are essential in helping us respond to stress, having them at a high level for a long period of time, they can lead to weight gain. Chronically high cortisol levels can increase appetite and fat storage as well, which contributes to weight gain and obesity. So prolonged elevation of adrenaline can then contribute to weight gain, insulin resistance, and increase of risk of type 2 diabetes and metabolic syndrome there as well. So it's important for your own results within the program that we get a hold of your own stress. If you're stressed, it's going to have an impact on your results. That's really important. It can also have an impact on your sleep. Elevated cortisol and the adrenaline levels at night can interfere your sleep cycle, which leads to insomnia and just poor quality sleep. You'll not get a deep sleep there either. Anxiety and depression. Just to go back there as well, whilst we are talking about sleep. Now, you obviously recommended is 8 hours. Now, I get it. As a parent, you'll get woken up during the night. But what was an interesting topic, just going off course a little bit here, is 8 hours sleep isn't from the time you go to bed. Remember that. So if you feel you're in bed for half an hour, then you drift off, then it works out 8 hours. You went to your bed, really you may only get, it takes you half an hour to actually get to sleep, then you won't actually get into a deep sleep maybe half an hour to an hour after that. So you need to deduct that from that there as well. So we really want to be creating a solid bed routine, which we're going into in more detail in the sleep course. Anxiety and depression. So prolonged exposure to hormones can increase the risk of anxiety and depression there as well. And cardiovascular problems, chronic stress increases the risk of high blood pressure, heart disease and stroke. and this can be due to prolonged constriction of blood vessels. So the question here, is all stress bad? So, stress, it's a natural response to challenges and changes in the environment, and it can positively and negatively affect our well-being. By understanding stress's good and bad concepts, we can better appreciate its role in our lives and then effectively manage it. So the good news, short-term stress can act as a motivator and improve overall performance. It forces us to adapt, meet deadlines and complete tasks efficiently. Stress helps us build resilience. This enables us to handle difficult situations and develop coping mechanisms. Overcoming challenges strengthens our mental and emotional resilience, which prepares us for future obstacles. And moderate stress can also enhance memory and attention by activating the body's fight or flight response. So this is heightened state of alertness, which can lead to improved focus and problem solving skills. So we need stress in order to adapt to life, from lifting weights to overcoming difficult life situations. Stress is the thing that makes us better. So let's look at the bad things of what stress is, or what it can do. So unlike acute stress, chronic stress occurs when stressors persist over a longer period of time, which can be detrimental to our physical and mental health, and it can lead to anxiety, depression, and a weakened immune system. So excessive stress can impair our ability to make good decisions, as it interferes with our rationale thinking, our objective evaluation on things. It can lead to poor choices in both personal and professional situations. Stress can have both a negative effect on well-being, with acute stress forcing adaptations on our body and improving performance, and chronic stress negatively affects our physical and mental health. So you've got the good and the bad. So think about it this way: stress in the short term is good, stress in the long term is bad. Okay, we don't want the elevated hormones for a prolonged period of time. So that was quite technical and a lot to go over there, but hopefully you understand how stress has an impact on our sleep, how stress has an impact on how even on our digestion, and there's so many other things going on there. And again, this is why it's important to tackle stress. It may be one of the reasons why I don't like using the word fail, or why things didn't quite work out on your previous journeys or attempts to lose the weight or even keep the weight off, because you might have been stressed. You might have been tackling these elevated hormones, which would be fighting against you. Until you actually get on top of that and have strategies with that as well, it's going to be hard to keep the weight off. So this is something we need to look at and implement as well. Hopefully this is really informative, and we will be moving on to identifying sources of stress next.